Welcome to the Smoke and Mirrors Podcast, your destination for the latest movie news and reviews. I am your host, Rob. Today I'm talking about two brand new releases which couldn't be more different. Bromley, Light After Dark, from first-time documentarian Sean MacDonald, and the holiday horror return of Eli Roth in Thanksgiving. Get ready for a tonal whiplash and get comfy. Now, let's start the show. Getting into Bromley, Light After Dark, massive thanks to Nixco for the screener and opportunity to chat to the director, Sean MacDonald. Sean MacDonald makes his debut documentary based around Australian artist David Bromley. It's personal and candid and goes into the mental health of the painter, sculptor, and disruptor. MacDonald followed Bromley for 4 years of his life, putting together art, opening stores, and a museum. Sean weaves a through line heaped with honest interviews about the phobias and anxiety that plagues this artist, but balances it all with beautiful flurries of family in his home life. The key here is balance. We get the great artistic process and crazy antics of an inspired creative, but we also get the insight of the vulnerable and deeply worried soul that works around the clock to produce product. We get profound descriptions of a man, regaled by his friends and fans, but we also get the slings and arrows of his fiercest critics. The key to a man who flies around as if possessed is his family anchors, which Light After Dark never shies away from. We are introduced to David's beautiful wife and business partner, Yugi, and his kids. I love the flow of this documentary. The pacing is on point, as if to take us into the mindset of someone who just can't sit still and keeps moving. The emotional side hits hard as we're taken behind the scenes of pieces that are about betrayal and abandonment. Tragedy, it seems, is never far away from inspiration, and David wears it all on his sleeve. This documentary is an absolute recommendation from me. Where I felt disconnected from it was through the painting world itself, which could have been a little bit more fleshed out on how it kind of operates, how successful the Bromley storefronts are, and what the struggles are behind that. And while the film culminates in a beautiful exhibition which is fitting, it doesn't really have a big bad or formidable opponent like, say, Pumping Iron, but as much as that would just be something I'm interested in and then go research about it offline, I also realize it's not the point the documentary is making. Those are all means and byproducts of an illustrious life met with struggle and hardships and anchored by love and support, a true artistic endeavor. Bromley, Light After Dark is in select cinemas now. Alright, let's get into Thanksgiving. So a massive thanks to Sony Pictures for the opportunity to see Thanksgiving. Eli Roth makes his hardcore holiday horror return in this week's new release. From its mid-2000s grindhouse roots to its super in-your-face, fuck you attitude about the consumerist attitude during the holiday season, this movie is great. The story, like most horror cliches, revolves around a group of high school students. They're caught up in a tragic Black Friday sale riot, and 1 year later, a mysterious figure starts hacking people in the town up to put his fucked up festive feast together. So pretty par for the course stuff for a slasher film, right? But Eli Roth gets this movie's tone right. We're not forced to endure over-melancholic or melodramatic teens like in Scream 6. This isn't a slow burn like Exorcist Believer. This is a balls-of-the-wall, literally breakneck paced, unapologetic kick to the sphincter that doesn't take itself seriously. The characters are over the top, from the exaggerated Massachusetts accent on the town sheriff Newland, played so hammy by Patrick Dempsey, Sexiest Man Alive 2023, to the unlikable qualities of the teens and townspeople. You are waiting for John Carver to start stacking toe tags because Eli Roth gets that we're not here to make friends. We want these turkeys carved and served with gravy and bits. And there's carving aplenty. This movie is gory as fuck. There's all forms of mutilation, decapitation, strangulation, and cremation. You'll wince and smile. We're sick. We can't look away. But we've also been conditioned by these revenge horrors. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Candyman, Darkman, Nightmare on Elm Street, the list goes on. The reason why is almost as important as who. And I found the killer's motive strong as it also played well with the message of consumer-driven holiday rushes to stores and malls over time with loved ones. I actually initially thought this was going to be like a cursed figure horror flick, but it's a solid whodunit with a brutal vibe that's very different tonally to a movie like Saw X, which played quite serious, or Evil Dead Rise, which is my favorite horror movie this year, that got quite dark. It's almost a horror comedy. And if the idea of half drowning someone in a sink and then sticking their face to the frost on a freezer door is your thing, then I think you'll get it and what the movie is kind of going for. Screenwriter Jeff Rendell gives everyone enough probable cause that you suspect most of the male characters in the movie of being the carver. So some critiques I have is I never really cared whether the final girl survived. I didn't really give a shit. A double-edged sword to wielding a film this darkly comedic in tone is that the stakes and tension get sucked out into the fun of it all. So you kind of have to make that sort of compromise. I also picked the carver quite early. So I don't know if anyone else out there also did this. I won't spoil who it was. Not because the hand is played in the early setup, but because when everyone is guilty until innocent, then it's got to be the most innocent one, right? The movie also runs about 10 minutes longer than it should, but it doesn't impact the pacing as much because that runtime is filled with fatalities and flailing bodies. But still, a lot of fun and a great time in the cinema. Thanksgiving is out now in all cinemas around Australia. And that's it. That's a wrap on the reviews for today. We'll be back on Sunday. Stay tuned. Got our thoughts on Monarch and more. Okay. Take care of yourself. Love movies.